Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Four Dads Podcast. You got Tees and Don Julio going to be going over, and before we go over the LIV and PGA Tour merger, just want to let everyone know we're over 1,000 followers on TikTok. Thank you all for the support there, and thank everyone for listening to us. Just for the time being, we've had a lot of fun so far with our guests, special guests with Tour Pros and especially Upside Golf. If you haven't checked out Upside Golf, definitely check it out. If you find anything nice, a nice rangefinder, a thunder stick, one of those magnetic towels. I know they have some hats and swag there as well. 20% off if you use Four Dads. So definitely want to check that out. But let's just jump right into it. Julio, with LIV and PGA Tour, quote unquote, merging. What were your thoughts and reactions when you heard it? I feel like yesterday was the most insane day of golf since LIV became a thing.
Yeah. Kind of a pretty shocking day for golf. I mean, definitely, I would say it definitely shook the golf world, much like the volcano over in Hawaii that just erupted too. Like,
Oh,
yeah, I just honestly at first I thought it was when I opened up my phone, I thought it was a joke. I just thought someone was
I
messing
did
around,
too, man.
but then when I saw that CNN had did it, I was just like,
Golf made it to CNN. Yeah, that means it's pretty big.
yeah, I just was shocked. But then I started thinking about it, and it was like, you know, my heart just goes out to the guys, like to the guys on tour who stuck to their guns and really try to stay true to you know to the tour and just to everything that they've gotten. And it was just like, I don't know. I just didn't know how to quite feel about it. And now I'm curious as to how it's going to be with guys competing who their pockets are fat.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I mean,
It's
Live has definitely had its impact on the PGA Tour. I mean, if we're talking about purses, like Victor Hovland just won $3.5 million or something like that for the
mhm.
Memorial Tournament. Like that's it's not even a major. Like
Yeah.
that's big money. And so now I don't know. I mean, like, do some of these guys? I just want to know how. Like, do some of these guys get taken care of? Like, does everybody
Yeah.
get like a pay based off of popularity now?
Mhm.
Like, is there actually going to be salaries now? Maybe as like a safety net for some of these players. Like,
Um,
it just seems weird that all of this happened literally 2 weeks after Brooks Koepka wins a major, and almost and I mean he almost won the Masters as well too.
that was
Like
insane. How crazy would it have been if he would have won both? I
it,
mean,
I think
think
this
about
merger
it.
probably would have happened. I think this merger probably would have happened sooner,
I
because
mean,
the thing that really gets under my skin personally is just the remarks that Jay Monahan made, when all this had happened, telling people like, "Oh, have you ever had to comfort like a 9/11
oh my gosh, I know.
family?" He's like, "Well, I know two survivors." Like, it's
Mhm.
like that has nothing to do with the game of golf.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. Like, I get it, Saudi Arabia, but it's like, y-
I
I
feel
don't know.
I feel I feel like I feel like at that moment he could try to use that to his advantage, that whole 9/11 situation where he's like, the people that the Saudis, yada yada. And then now it just looks like he used that 9/11 as a politician would, to politicize it. And that just makes it even worse, where it's like, oh, now at the end of the day, okay, now it is about money. And you're like, oh, I get money, cool. I mean, like you said, your heart goes out to some of to the PGA players. For me, it goes out to some of them, not to John Rahm, not to Roy McIlroy. They're fine. They're gonna make great money the rest of their lives. What's another 100 to 200 million in their life? I mean, like, really, like, they're gonna be fine. They're set for life. Roy's got six or so majors. Rahm's on the up. Obviously, there could have been guaranteed money that they missed out on, but I definitely feel for more of the lower tier players, like a Sam Burns, that was, for whatever reason, you know, quoted at maybe 100 million for a signing bonus for Liv. Apparently, Hideki Matsuyama, who's only won one major at the Masters, was offered 400 million, and I don't know how, as a win major, that you turn down 400 million at all.
Because
I don't.
because he's with the biggest brand globally. I mean, he's with Srixon. So Srixon is one of the few golf companies that is truly global. Like their golf balls are sold everywhere. Their clubs
Mhm.
are sold everywhere. It's one of those ones. And I mean, and on top of that too is like there recently was a leaked photo of Hideki Matsuyama like taking a standard coach flight.
Yep.
Like he was going through standard TSA, and everyone was like, "That shouldn't be happening, man." Like,
Well,
what?
like you said, even if Struxon is so big, it's not guaranteed money. If he starts falling and not playing consistently, you can lose that sponsorship. I mean, those aren't guaranteed. Four
Yeah,
hundred million in the bag.
they won't do that to him. They won't do that to him.
Well, you can say
He's
that now,
been
but I mean, do you think he's going to make four? Okay, do you think the real question is you can make $400 million potentially? Let's just say that's the number within a year or two from the signing bonus, or would you want to make it in 20, 30 years with
well.
also?
It all depends on how is his contract written up. Like, is it based off of their overall sales globally? Because if so, like Exio and Shrixon are huge sold clubs in Asia and like India and everything like that. Like they're the top stuff, you know. And if that's what it is, I mean, being that he's from Asia, like he's the poster child for it. So of course he could be getting royalties off of that. You know, he could
Royalties,
be
yeah,
getting
yeah.
commission. I mean, he could be getting commissions off of it. Like, I mean, we don't see a lot of commercials for Shrixon in Cleveland and Exio here in the States, but I mean, it could be advertised like how they advertise. Um, I don't know how they advertise McDonald's for big time sports over there. Like we don't know, you know,
No, no.
and that's the thing is like, again, going back to one of our older podcasts, like these guys are entrepreneurs. They're their own billboards. They're their own,
Yeah,
they're their own LLC. So it's like
yeah.
he's an international player. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, a guy like Rory, dude. As much as I love Rory, like you can't sit there and tell me like in his press conference where he's like, "Oh, I still hate Live." It's like hate's such a strong word, man. Like honestly, I think you're just a bit more frustrated that shit you got proven wrong, and everybody
Yep,
who went over there, you know, said yes and took a risk, and the game played out. But
yeah.
also, if I were Tiger and Rory, I would be absolutely livid with
Mhm.
Jay
Oh,
because
yeah.
even in swing or even in full swing, they had that players meeting and Rory and Tiger were both like the ambassadors for this players association thing that was saying, "Hey, look, like things are gonna get taken care of. Like
Mhm.
we are personally taking it on ourselves to work with Jay to make sure that the PGA Tour becomes, gets back in the swing of things. Like we take care of the players, we end up doing something to help, right?"
Mhm.
And now Jay sat there in front of everybody and just bashed on every single person that left, saying that you're
Mhm.
scum, you're not
Mhm.
this, you're going and working for you're going and getting paid with terrorist money, blah blah blah. And at the end of the day, he just shows like money talks. It really doesn't matter if it's blood money, if it's oil money, if it's
It's
terrorist money, if
it's
it's
any other corporation,
yeah
any other company. When it comes
yeah
down to it, your person is easily replaceable, and they can, unless it's obviously like a Tiger Woods or something. But it's just like you and me for my job. If we were to pass away tomorrow, they would put up our job within a day or two, looking for a new person. It just move on. It just doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're trying to make money, and Rory was proven wrong. And I saw this clip of Stephen A. Smith today, and he was just going off on people like, why are people acting like this is the first time that professional sports or really America has like got received money or deals or compensation from like Saudi Arabia with money or oil money or whatever, and listed like all of these companies like AT&T, all these big ones where it's like,
yeah.
why is that the big deal? If anything, the big deal is what Jay Monahan said to the players and what he did like a week later. And it basically seemed like
hmm
two guys hanging out in a car, just making a deal without anyone out talking and say, okay, yeah, perfect, let's do that. With no one in the PGA Tour is supposedly what, a players tour or whatever, where like the players are involved. They have ambassadors, like you mentioned, like Rory and Tiger, and they had no idea. They Tiger Woods was not even told about this at all. It's a and it just is such a blind side, and hopefully it's a good thing for golf with everything happening, but there would have to be some kind of compensation, you would think, with how much money the PGA Tour has had and how much the players could have made. It's not definitely not going to equate to how much they would have made at Live, but
It
in
could.
it could,
There's
but I mean, right now it just seems
there's
like Jay Monahan's thing is your loyalty is your word, and that's it. There's no we don't pay out loyalties here, at least for
I
right now.
mean, it seems like this was just a J move. I mean, you have to remember the PGA Tour is a nonprofit organization, right? So if Jay is over here making massive business decisions like that for essentially a merger slash um, being acquired, like where does that money go? You're telling me that that money just goes into the tour as a donation, as a charitable donation? Like,
Right.
I'm
I'm
sorry,
not
like
buying that.
yeah, that's not how this works. I mean, Kaiser Permanente has enough money to go and throw up a brand new stadium for the Warriors, and yet Kaiser is considered a nonprofit hospital, or a nonprofit
Entity, company.
yeah, entity, company, whatever.
Yeah.
And yet here they are throwing in all this money to build out, Oracle Arena. Like, it's crazy. I don't know. Um, my thing is like, what do you think this means now for golf? Like, what do you foresee being some of the changes in like the near future?
I mean, I don't think there's going to be too many as of right now for the near future. It might open up things for qualifiers for people who are not qualified and people who are not qualified for the majors and live that would make it traditionally. Because I think like Taylor Gooch was one of the people for the U.S. Open that, based off of previous requirements, he met them all, and then they just created new requirements, so he couldn't make the U.S. Open qualifying for whatever reason. But I've heard, while like scrolling through tweets all yesterday and today, I think today more of the dust is settling, and I really can't wait to see what all the details are. But I heard that nothing's really going to change this year, and everything might change next year. This might have something also implications with the Ryder Cup, maybe, and allowing live players to actually play in the Ryder Cup, which would have been the right move all along. And I know Brandell Chambly or whatever his name is, he's been out totally against any live player doing that. I mean, I don't know if you saw Brooks Koepka's tweet, but he's like, welfare check
Welfare
on Champ.
checks. Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
oh man, check up on Chambly because he's probably freaking out right now. Like, what? Um, but I'm really hoping that at the end of the day, the Ryder Cup, the whole thing is obviously the best of the USA versus the best of Europe. And if you don't have that, it's going to be diminished. Obviously people will watch because it is the Ryder Cup, but it won't be as popular because of not having all of the best players. I hope they find out a way to figure out the world golf ranking as well.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I want to see how this world golf ranking will be adjusted now,
Yeah.
because with all these new players coming in, guys who got their PGA cards but never even stepped foot in a PGA event, then moved over to
Hmm.
live, but also too is like, I wonder how this impacts the course lineup every year, right? So I mean, Donald Trump has been kind of the poster child for supporting
Live, yeah. And they're
live. Like, does this mean that all the Trump courses now get listed as PGA Tour courses? Like, does that mean that now, even on the DP World Tour, the courses that they play in Europe are now going to be added to um to the list? And even maybe some of the smaller events, like, does that switch everything up? How does that impact the purses? Like, what does this mean? Because there's a lot that you can do now. I mean, to say it in I guess as direct as possible, like, Saudi Arabia owns the PGA Tour. So what does this mean? Like, does that mean that there's going to be more, instead of it being the same sponsors every year? Like now they're going to have kind of like a um,
Highest bidder kind of a thing, or
yeah, kind of like a highest bidder, or maybe only have certain length contracts for 1 year for a certain amount of events. Like, are they going to
Mhm,
push more banners? Like, I mean, that's kind of always been the one thing is the PGA has always operated the same way for the longest time, where
mhm,
NBC, CBS, ESPN, those are their biggest sponsors. I mean, they get
mhm.
all the money from those guys. Now, does that mean that you open it up to like the streaming platforms where you have Fubo TV, you have
Apple
Tubi,
TV,
yeah, you
you
have
have
Apple TV,
Peacock,
you have
all that stuff.
Peacock. Well, Peacock is still NBC, but
Right, 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 right.
like do you get all that? Do you now have like the zone, right? Do you have the zone come in and start adding their own golf stuff? Do you maybe potentially have somebody like like Max, right? Like HBO, who's now changing their whole streaming
Could you
platform.
imagine
Just be
having to pay for pay-per-view for an event? I would hate that.
why I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I know, I
I
know.
mean, ESPN, I mean, Hulu has now officially acquired like Disney, right? So it, I mean, does that mean that now you can just, if you have your Hulu account, you can still just go on there and still be able to have access to ESPN, have
Yeah,
all that stuff? Or do you have to actually go pay for major events now? Like, I mean, I don't know, man.
yeah.
It's a big question, but I mean, after everything, I would be lying. I mean, let me just ask you, like, how do you feel after everything that we've said about Live and kind of like maybe some of the decisions of players? Like, how do you feel looking back on it now?
Um, I don't know. I mean, like, I feel for people who took like the big offers, like Cam Smith, Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson. I mean, this is like best of both worlds for them in that opinion, in my opinion there. I'm really thinking about Matt Wolf. I don't know if you've heard, but like on the Live Tour, he's been struggling with an injury and apparently he's been scrubbed off of the Instagram of whatever the High Flyers, whatever team that he's on. I think it's Brooke Koepka's team. And people were wondering if he was going to get traded or if he was going to get released from Live. And I wonder, I mean, he probably got made like join Live for like pennies on the dollar compared to what Brooks did. But with this whole merger, that potentially opens up another opportunity to go back to the PGA Tour, which is huge because the implications before when this whole risk started was like, I don't like this is really it. It's live or die. At least that's what I would assume if I were a lower tier player that's really just risking it all. And he had a somewhat successful PGA Tour career for a while before getting on a really bad cold streak. I think right before Live.
Yeah,
But I mean, I was always pushing for Live because I thought it would make golf better, regardless. It's there's more golf to be watched. And honestly, the events, in my opinion, even though they're a bit more difficult to find, it's not just on your ESPN or ABC or NBC. You had to either go on your phone for the app or find on like CW, which not everybody has. If it was on a regular channel, I would watch that over the PGA Tour on some of these events, like we talked
yeah,
about with the Honda Classic, where they had like
hmm
three guys that maybe top 50, maybe top 100, but one of them won, so great for them. But I mean, at the end of the day, wouldn't you rather watch Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, Cam Smith, Harold Varner, all these guys that are making money and top players in the world compared to a couple players that are busting their guts out and honestly playing great golf, but there's just not as much competition of the best of the best. But what do you think?
Sorry, excuse me for the yawn. I I kind of like I'm kind of with you. Actually, I feel the same way you do. I mean, I understand why certain guys did what they did. And I think not I think I totally agree now with the way that Dustin Johnson kind of answered the question during Full Swing, which is like, dude, if someone's coming at you with $400 million just straight cash, like,
And
yeah,
to
I'm
play
taking
less
that.
golf and to be at home
Yeah,
with your family more. Like,
yeah.
why
He's like,
wouldn't you
yeah.
take more of that?
Why wouldn't you take that? Like, you can still do what you love to do, which is still play golf, and you still have the opportunity to win money on your purses. Like,
Mhm.
who cares? Like, PGA is always going to be around. They're going to do their thing. Like, I can just focus on me now.
Mhm.
And it's more like, it's more of like, I, feel bad for guys like maybe like Max, or like
Wolf?
Max Homa. No, no,
Homa.
like
Yeah,
Max
yeah, yeah.
Homa,
Uh-huh.
right? Like he never disclosed how much he was offered, but he talked about it like on Bob Does Sports, where he was playing against Fat Perez, and they asked him like how much, and he was like, I'm not going to really say, but you know imagine a guy like that where he's been in the top 10 for his last few events, and it's like, just imagine if he didn't have to grind like that. Like maybe he could do like what Bryson DeChambeau does and just be an influencer golfer now, right? Like
Mhm.
you're not
And
really
he's got a
worried
great
about it.
personality. He's got a better
Yeah,
personality than Bryson does for it, honestly.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, he's a very lively guy. Like
mhm.
he's quick, he's witty. I mean, it's fun watching him talk about that, and you know, um, just imagine like it just takes the pressure off, like knowing that you have that safety net compared to like you come off of a win. You got to give some money to your sponsors. You got to give some. You obviously have to dish out money to like your agent, to your marketing team, to whoever is all there to help you, and it's like you're left with this many dollars, and then you still have to pay for all the expenses of like your travel,
Right. Mhm.
your caddy fees, like everything, like people things that people just don't talk about.
Yeah.
So I I guess I guess I'd have to say I'm a bit kind of torn, I guess, as far as
Yeah.
like, do I regard what I said?
Mhm.
N- you know, no, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, if you didn't see it coming, were you really paying attention?
Like, yeah, it was bound to happen. I mean, obviously, like you say, like obviously, if you weren't paying attention, like it was gonna happen. But the fact of how soon this happened was, I think, what threw everybody off. There wasn't like a okay, there have been some talks, and then months go by, and then okay, things are starting to get closer. There might be a deal in place, and then a month goes by, and okay, we have a deal. It's like you go to bed one night thinking, okay, let's get ready for the next live tournament, and then the next tournament for or the man, I honestly don't even know what tournament's going on this weekend, but the weekend after is obviously the U.S. Open. But I mean, like that's the thing, like just not even thinking about it, and then boom, you wake up and you're like, okay, is it April Fools? Like, there's no way that they like merged. There's no way. There's just no way. Like, there was no rumblings of it at all. It literally came out of left field. No one saw it coming,
Yeah,
and I feel like I saw one thing too of I heard Tommy Fleetwood, uh, instead of going to the meeting, he just went out and practiced. And
yeah,
someone was like, why aren't you going to the meeting?" And he just gave him a shrug of the shoulders, like, kind of like, well, what does it matter if he's not going to tell us anyway? Players, really, what we want to hear and what the honest truth is. What's the point of me wasting my time? I should
hmm
just work on basically. He didn't say this, but I mean, it's kind of speculated that it's just like, what's the point of going to someone who's just going to lie to your face and say
exactly.
whatever they need to say? He has no respect for me. I don't have any respect for him. I really need to work on my game anyway because that's going to end up paying the bills for everything, especially
Yep.
for someone like Tommy who's made good money. He's got a good life going on, but I mean, he's not a, like rolling in the dough. And I'm surprised more people didn't do that. Apparently, Johnson Wagner. I don't know if you saw like a few years ago, he played one of the Punta Cana PGA Tour Opens with like a massive mustache and like a Budweiser hat. That was like his
Yeah.
big thing. He was saying that like it was like 90% of people were just like, dude, this Monahan's got to be fired. Like, there's no way that like he can survive this. And I honestly kind of compared it. I tweeted yesterday like he's kind of coming off like a Goodell vibe, where like there aren't owners, like in the NFL, where like he makes the owners a ton of money. The players themselves, they're so much more risk than they ever were because of the Thursday night game, that they have to play, and because of the short recovery time and things like that. But because of the Thursday, they've made so much money and all these deals that they've made. And the owners love Roger Goodell and they're all for it. But the players in the NFL Players Commission hate him. Every single time you see the freaking NFL draft, everyone boos Roger Goodell. Like, that's just the thing. But he's not going anywhere because he's making so much money for the owners. And the
Yeah.
only difference is for Monahan is like there's no owners to back you up here. You're on your own.
There's no owners, but the thing is though is that his whole role as commissioner of the PGA is to better the game, right? So it could just be either a sink or swim situation where if this backfires and Saudi Arabia decides, yeah, they're only going to play 3 days, we're going to upcharge the price of tickets, we're going to, you know, we're going to add another major, we're going to do this, like blah blah blah, like to the fans, it's going to be kind of like how baseball fans are now with the clock. Like you
Hmm.
either hate it or you love it, you know.
Hmm.
But it is what it is, man. Like I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But I do feel like if we were waiting to see like some kind of some tempers flare, I think we'll probably see them next weekend.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
mean this weekend is the RBC Canadian Open, which
Canadian. I just remember that. Yeah.
which which I don't know if it's going to happen because of
Well, I was
the
actually gonna
the
look for that.
fire. Yeah, because of the fire.
Where I know the Fire's on the East Coast, but where is this Canadian Open? It's in Ontario, and that's on the east side of the country.
Yeah, it's
So
it's it's on it's in Toronto. So I don't know. Let's guess. Yeah, that would be West Coast or West Side.
yeah. So let me see here. I'm looking currently right now. The air quality index in Toronto. You said right?
Yeah,
That was actually not that bad. Okay.
yeah,
It's a 30 index, and I'm guessing that the it's more east. But so yeah, I mean, you and I live in California. You don't live in the valley anymore, but when you did, I'm sure when the fires came through, like over the last few years, it's just absolutely brutal. The fires just sit, like the smoke just sits in the valley, and it's absolutely brutal. And yeah, I think a 30 right now is good. I think I've seen like a 250 in like Fresno is like really bad. Like you go outside, you could smell it. You can't. You're not supposed to be out there for doing anything. It could really f up your lungs. But yeah, it'd be kind of interesting with all the live players back for the U.S. Open,
hmm
communicating and talking and hanging out with PGA Tour players, kind of seeing their reactions. Because again, this whole debacle was created by the media, the drive,
right,
the
right.
center divide. That was all that, and then we saw it in the Masters where it's like, oh, Brooks plays with Rory off air. Oh, they're
hmm
cool. Like that makes no. That's not what I was told by the media. I thought they hated each other, and so it'll be really interesting to see. I know, obviously, Billy Horschel's probably gonna be really frustrated. I know when the whole thing. Remember when?
Yeah, but he's always frustrated because he sucks.
Oh man, he is. He's having a tough month. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Um, but it'll be definitely really interesting to see how they go about it because the media's gonna be badgering them with questions during the U.S. Open, and I mean, they're just looking for that one person to break and honestly spill how they're feeling, and that's all it takes before hopefully other people will really say how they feel. Because I don't know, man. Uh, I would, I mean, I would be extremely pissed if I were in that situation. Even not like a Rory status, but just an average player, like a Joel Dahman. I'd be like, "What the heck, man?" Like I'd still be like
yeah. I mean, I think
frustrated.
the one person honestly that the media is waiting to see react is Tiger.
Of course, the needle moves the tiger. So yeah, of course. I mean,
Yeah. So let me ask you this: there's already been some sketches of what the new PGA logo is going to look like. Do you think they're going to remove? Do you think they're going to remove Jack and put Greg Norman in there?
well, if they take our Four Dads logo, I'm gonna be pissed. Let me just tell you, they better not put John Daly on there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I mean, I thought something was funny. Like when Liv started, I guess John Daly really wanted to join Liv, and he's like, "Dude, I'll play for free. Just pay me in beer. Like, get me on this tour. This tour is exactly what I wanted. Shorts.
Yeah,
Just having a good time, not playing all the time." And I mean, if you think about it too, without Liv, Brooks might not have had another major this year because of his injuries. Because of Liv, he had time to heal, time to
hmm
recover instead of grinding through tournaments week in, week out. And honestly, I think it 100% was the reason why he was able to win and actually play really well at the Masters. And Actually, now thinking about it, with the whole PGA Championship, what was it, Saturday when it was pouring rain? The fact that he shot like
Hmm.
3 or 4 under in the pouring rain is just insane. Like, it's insane.
I mean, do you really put it past? Do you really put it past Brooks, like, not to have that plan? Like, thinking like, dude, I'm going over there because it's giving me time to recoup, right? It's giving me time to do things, and I have guaranteed money in my pocket.
Mhm.
Like, I can do whatever I want, you
Yeah.
know. And now here he is. Like, I mean, everyone knew. I mean, everyone knew that once Brooks is on that field. I mean, he's a force to be reckoned with, man. Like, he's someone you can never count out. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
you know,
definitely. I agree. I mean,
yeah,
I think I think that's a huge implication, and I'm happy for him because obviously a good Brooks Koepka in majors is fun to watch. I feel like the few people that can really move the needle still, besides of course Tiger Woods, I feel like is Jordan Spieth. Uh, I feel like Ricky Fowler does, but he just hasn't really been big over the last like few years, and he's been struggling.
yeah.
Um, John Rahm, not so much because I mean he's just I mean people like John Rahm. Nothing against him, but like
Well,
everyone loves Jordan
John's
Spieth,
just
and when he does
John's
good,
just the kind of
people love to
player.
watch.
John's just the kind of player where if he's within like the top five, like, there's a good chance he's going to sneak his way up to the top. In my opinion,
Oh
like,
yeah.
if he's in any tournament, if he's within the
Hmm.
top five, like, look out, because he's gonna want to go. He's gonna want to go for it all.
Right, right. I mean, trying to think who else. I mean, who would have? I honestly just think those two. Am I
Did
blanking with
did
some
you
other people? I mean,
did you say JT?
for right now, because I know like when Jordan Spieth plays well, a lot more people seem to watch. Just a good, genuine guy.
Yeah,
Um,
I would say Tony Finau too.
Yeah, yeah. I
Tony
mean,
Finau.
he's yeah. I can't go wrong with Tony. I mean, I love Tony. I mean, there's not really a player that I don't like on the PGA Tour or on Live, but the ones that really turn the needle, you're never gonna have another Tiger. But I just feel that a good Brooks Koepka in majors is really interesting because he looks like the typical like meathead. He's jacked, like he looks like that guy. And then sometimes you go up against like a Ricky Fowler who's like half his size, has half like a quarter of the arms, and he's competing with him. Or same with like Justin Spieth. Justin Spieth, wow. Jordan Spieth. Justin
You
Thomas,
mean
Jordan
Justin
Spieth.
Thomas? I
Oh man.
know, man.
Or
I don't worry, man. I've had a super long day too, and it's still not done.
the grind is real.
Yeah,
Um,
my mind
but yeah,
is my mind is fried.
ugh, I'm really hopeful for what's going to happen. Honestly, I'm really hoping for the best. I heard that it was, they considered golf tweeted something out today. They're like, it's a partnership, not a merger. And people were like, oh, so basically the same thing. Cool. Okay. Why'd you say that? Like, what's the point? It's not like
Yeah,
one's over the other. But I mean, if you think about it, I don't know how much you follow sports outside of the United States, but like in soccer, like some of the biggest teams in the world right now is like one of them is Manchester City, owned by a Saudi backed people with oil money, spending hundreds of millions every year, no problem at all. Manchester United, their in city rival, is in the process of potentially getting bought out by a Saudi backed group as well, that from oil money. I think PSG, same thing, oil money. Like there are so many teams out there now that are getting backed by all these big oil like tycoons that it's becoming a norm. And some people even mention like, oh, do you think that they're going to creep their way into the United States sports like NFL or MLB? And I mean, it's not my money, so I don't really care. But I think if it's your team and you're a small market team in that situation, like if for me, Cleveland Indians, yeah, dude, or Cleveland Guardians, whatever you want to call them now, yeah, dude, give them a Saudi back group. There's no
the
payroll.
Oakland
Give them
A's.
everybody. Oh my gosh, could you imagine? Oh,
I mean, why not? If you wanted to, that'd be the perfect team to do it. The city's already paid for a $1.5 billion stadium. That's going to be
hmm
like the first stadium
hmm
ever to be fully like self automated, where you're going to sit. You're going to sit in spots to where you can just order your drink. So you order your food. You never have to get up, which means they're going to open up a lot of jobs, hopefully for, for servers to
Hmm.
come on down. Like, just think about how many people are going to have to be running back and forth. That's a lot of cooks, a lot of chefs,
Hmm.
but
That's
th-
perfect, dude. If you go there for a weekend and you go to a Sunday afternoon game and you're hungover, that's perfect. You don't have to get up, press
yeah,
a button, get to the stadium, sit in your seat. Who could want anything
yeah,
more, man?
yeah. Well, and the thing is too, like I know we're kind of getting off of the subject a little bit, but you know, I think the hardest thing is just going to be like, will Vegas actually buy in? Like, will the Vegas
Yeah.
people buy in?
I
I
think
mean,
th- I think they will if they change the name, honestly. Because if they keep the A's, they've kept it since like Philly to Oakland to it's like, dude, come on, change the name, please. Like if you're gonna move, get rid of it.
what would it be?
I don't know. I mean, the Las Vegas Knights for hockey is like the weirdest thing ever. I don't know what a Golden Knight would have to do with Las Vegas. I don't know something in desert related. I mean, it can't be Area 51. They already have that AAA team out in Reno. But I mean, something with like blackjack. I don't know black. I don't know something maybe gambling wise. I don't
The
know.
Vegas Spades?
There we go. Aces, the Aces.
No, they already have no, that's the women's basketball team.
Well, then they're gonna have to get rid of that and change the name because I mean, people watch baseball more than WNBA, and I'm
Yeah.
not being sexist. That's just the truth. And
No, he is. He's totally being sexist, everyone. Cancel, cancel. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, the Aces would be good. The Aces would be
yeah,
a sick. I mean, that was the first one that I thought about. I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe the
I mean, the women can be the
I,
spades, and the men can be the aces. I mean, come
yeah,
on.
yeah. But I again, I would have thought a better move personally for them would have been like Sacramento.
Hmm. Sacramento or Salt Lake City. Apparently, they're trying to do a whole little expansion team out there. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, regardless, the whole Saudi thing is so dumb. I feel like it's such a they tried so hard to make taking blood money as a bad thing for so long. And then now all these like media people, oh well guess what? Remember how like for like months and a few years that you tried to say how bad it was for these people taking blood money? How dare they? Well, now your savior, Jay Monahan, now go ahead and back him up, make it sound like it's a good thing now. Go ahead. Let's see you try that. Let's see how much of your hypocrisy, how deep it goes. Because you could see where the money goes in media. Like you could see like when they don't talk about a specific subject or they are lighter on certain subjects, you can kind of tell, okay, well, that might be a little agenda that you're trying to stray away from, but it's so annoying. I hate
Do
that.
you think that the plan of like Tiger and Rory's league will still be in motion with this?
That's a
Do
good
I mean
question.
here's a conspiracy theory. Okay, what if because Tiger and Rory were essentially the partners in the ambassador as the leaders, right? What if Jay told them from the get go? Eventually, we're already discussing a potential merger. We just need to make sure that we keep our talent. So, being that you guys are our top two dudes who have shown nothing but pure loyalty, like we'll give you 5% of whatever this deal comes to.
I can see that. I mean, there's no way that they're not
I
getting
mean,
paid
what?
under the
I mean,
table.
what?
There's
I
no
mean,
way they're
why?
not getting
Why would they
money.
not? Why would
They're
they
not
not?
get they're not getting it like just like you mentioned before, like how Bubba Watson said that he got covered, some for some tournaments to go to, like from the PGA Tour under the table. There's no way that they're not going to be paid under the
Yeah,
table without being
yeah,
told. Like, there's no way.
yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. It's just like, what if this whole thing was just a big media play from the get go?
Hmm.
They knew.
Right?
Because I mean, think about it. Like, if the PGA was already going to go and create a Tiger and Rory, expedition or expedition. What's the word?
Exhibition match kind of thing, or
Exhibition match or like just fun type of individual matches that were still had the broadcasting sponsorship of the PGA. Like, why wouldn't they do it with Live? I mean, look at the match, right? Look at the
yeah,
match. The match is covered by the PGA every
yeah.
single year. Like,
Hmm.
the win is the partnered company. So now, or is the partnered course. So now, personally, what I would like to see, change up the lineup. Go find some other courses. Like
Yes.
these guys score so well at the same courses because nothing freaking changes. All they do is maybe expend,
Ex-
or they extend
extend.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they extend it, shorten it on certain areas. Add some new trees. Like, definitely let the rough grow. But it's like, I still till this day think that watching watching the PGA Championship at Harding Park was a real dose of reality that, yeah, when these guys don't play this course all the time, it's new. Like,
Hmm.
they struggle a lot more than what we do,
Yeah.
maybe, for
Hmm.
on some. Like, I mean, the
Yeah.
whole time, everyone was tweeting that whole weekend about, oh, I've had that shot 1,000 times. Like, how does he not get it to the green, right? Regardless of the rough. And I mean,
Right.
you got to think too, is like, when it's public golf and your money, your round's already paid for, they don't, I mean, the conditions are the conditions. They have the plan. There's no real timeline. They're like, we have people that are going to come and play no matter what,
Hmm.
right? So maybe there were situations where the rough was longer than than what they actually had for the
For a
tournament.
major, it might be longer than maybe when you're playing on a
Yeah,
regular day.
maybe,
Maybe because
but
how much fun would you have if the grass was just as thick on a major day as it is on a regular day with a 25 handicap? Dude, you would and the green
you
speed
would,
at like
yeah,
13, 12, like you wouldn't
yeah,
come back to golf ever. You'd be done.
yeah. I'd go find the nearest thrift shop and donate my
You'd
shit.
be jumping into the freaking ocean. I'm done. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
take up swimming. Screw
I'm
this.
yeah, I'm jumping off the Golden Gate now.
Yeah.
Look, he's flying.
Starting to murmur. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't think you have the balls to do it.
People are starting to murmur. They're starting to say
dude,
things.
dude. I don't know if you saw this, but the best meme that I saw yesterday about the whole thing, and it was Jay Monahan and trying to keep the PGA Tour together, right? And it shows Kevin on The Office, and he's doing the not the Heimlich, the
The
what was it?
compressions.
Yeah, the compression
Yeah.
he goes, I can't be doing this all day. And this lady's like timing him, and she's like, it's only
It's
been
only
20
been 20
seconds.
seconds. He
And then
goes,
he just goes,
call it.
call it. Yeah. And I'm like, that is so perfect because he might have been like trying behind the scenes to keep it all together. He's like, screw it. Let's just make a deal. Like,
Yeah.
screw this. Like, it was perfect.
Oh.
Oh, man.
I love that. I
Man.
love that one. There is one for like I don't remember how it was, but it was like something. Isis found it when she was pregnant, and it was like something about like the pushing or whatever. And it's like, it's only been 20 seconds, and he's just like, call it, like it's done. I forget, but it's a real knee slapper when you actually when you see it. I'm not doing it justice.
Yeah, I know, right? I sometimes hate doing them because I'm like, and then I try to search for them with people next to me. I'm like, oh, let me just tell you about. Okay, let me look for it, and then I
Well, that was
can't
like
find it,
that
and
was
then I'm
like that
like,
one
crap.
time. That was like that one time where I was talking about the guy who was doing the calf raises, and his buddy's like, his
But
buddy's like,
you made it funnier, in my opinion,
yeah,
than what it actually
exactly,
was. It's the
exactly.
opposite. I was dying on the podcast.
Yeah, I think I definitely gave that one more of a boost than what it deserved,
Right,
for sure.
right. But I mean, yeah, I feel like right now we can end the podcast. I feel like we had a good 40 or so minutes talking about it. But next week, not only will it'll be US Open week, but hopefully there'll be some more dust settled that we can discuss about the Live PGA Tour merger, find out some more answers, figure out really what happened once things start going out, and maybe some questions will be answered during that week of the U.S. Open as well down in L.A. But like I mentioned before, thank you everyone for supporting. Father's Day is coming up, so definitely want to hit us up for some Four Dads hats for new dads or potentially new dads. Gender reveal hats. Julio is rocking the gender reveal / Miami Vice hat. Can go both ways. If you're a dad, it's Miami Vice. If you're Not sure what baby you're going to have. It's a perfect gender reveal hat. I'm rocking the Masters edition, and we also have the traditional red, white, and blue like our logo. So definitely hit us up if you guys are interested. DM us on Instagram, on TikTok, YouTube, or even Twitter, which we are all on. Definitely check us out there as well. I'm live tweeting all the time, and we'll probably go live again on a TikTok sometime soon. But again, thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully, you guys had a good time listening to this episode, and also let us know what you guys think about the live and everything. I know I posted a video yesterday about it, got some cool responses. But again, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week. Stay fly and go low.